IFL champion Arizona Rattlers are off to another great start in 2025, a 3-0 start, and they are at the top of nearly every statistical category in the IFL. That's the kind of beginning in 2025 for the Arizona Rattlers, a 3-0 record as they get set to take on an in-state rival, the Northern Arizona Wranglers, who are going the other direction. The Wranglers right now at 0-3 as this campaign gets into full swing. We welcome you in, everybody, to Glendale, Arizona, and Desert Diamond Arena, the Snake Pit, the home of the Arizona Rattlers. I'm Floyd Simmons, and my broadcast partner is the three-time Super Bowl champion, Dale Hellestray. And Dale, that Rattlers team out there, it just doesn't seem like they could play any better football than what they are right now. But, you know, their head coach, Kevin Guy, he always seems to find a little this, little that. They could clean up a few things.
I've said many times over the last couple of years, reminds me of my former coach, Jimmy Johnson. He wants something to be just a little bit off with a victory, okay, so that he could harp on that. They had the bye week. Their number one focus, well, actually two, kickoff coverage and penalties. And we'll see how those come to fruition tonight, because there's been some definite emphasis on both of those.
Well, just a few moments ago, I had the chance to talk to head coach Kevin Guy and get his ideas, his thoughts on what to look for tonight as they take on Northern Arizona. Here's Coach Guy.
Coach Guy, when I look at the stat sheet for the league, I look at the categories. The Arizona Rattlers are pretty much at the top of every category, right at or near the top of every category. And yet, when I talked to you yesterday, it seems like there's a lot of unfinished business, a lot of things that you feel like this team needs to do to get better. How can the Rattlers get better than what I'm already looking at?
Well, a lot of little things, you know. We've been very undisciplined with our unsportsmanlike conducts. And, we had 9 drops last week as a receiving core, and we're not playing good on kickoff coverage, and we got to tackle better on defense. So there's a lot of areas that we want to improve on. I haven't even looked at the stats. I don't think stats matter until you get about 4 or 5 games into the season. We're just taking it one week at a time, trying to get better every week and try to build a dominant roster.
Your team has been running the football really well. Another one of those categories where your team is at or near the, and you had a new running back in. Shannon Brooks makes his return tonight for the Arizona Rattlers. How about Shannon back out there in pads?
Yeah, it's going to be good to see him out there. You know, he's worked his butt off after his surgery during the off season, and he just wasn't ready to go for training camp and needed a few weeks to kind of get acclimated. So, the medical team, doctors cleared him, and here we are. So we'll see what he can do.
And your defense. Let's talk about them for a moment. I know that you'd like to see them tackle a little bit better on the field, and yet they're playing so well. You're playing a team that, they need a win desperately, and they're going to pull some stops out, I think, offensively against your team tonight. What is your defense called on to do against the Wranglers?
Well, we need to get stops. We want to get separation. I thought last week we didn't start fast, and, we had a big second quarter, but, it's a game of adjustments, but I want them to adjust to us. I don't want to be adjusted to them. So we got to start faster, be a more physical team, and, just do things right, and the wins and losses will take care of itself.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Head coach Kevin Guy, his words of wisdom before this one gets underway. Let's introduce you to our third broadcast team member, Sandy Charles, down on the field. Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Floyd. Thank you. Yes, like we just heard head coach Kevin Guy say, 10 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. That is so unlike a Rattlers team. I spoke with the head coach about this, and he told me we have high-caliber players in our locker room. They just need to learn how to play together and make better decisions. He also said they're buying in. For example, the offensive line, they're in the weight room, they're eating right, they're losing the weight. He said he wants this team to play a complete game, so we'll look for that today. But they're buying in, Floyd. They're all about it, looking for win number 4.
Good to have you back, Sandy Charles, on our sidelines. And my broadcast partner in the booth is Dale Hellestray. Dale, great to see you back after
I was going to say, is it good to have me back or just good to see Sandy?
Yeah,
Sandy's irreplaceable, I hear.
Well, it's going to be tough to sideline Sandy Charles from the sidelines. Ready to go tonight in the West Valley. For those of you IFL fans who are unfamiliar with the layout of the greater Phoenix area, the West Valley is where you find it's really the mecca of professional sports. The Arizona Cardinals across the street. And, of course, right here, these Arizona Rattlers, defending IFL champions, are going to try to add their 4th win of the season against a squad that desperately needs a victory. Northern Arizona has been struggling out the gates this year after losing their coaching staff, losing some of their best players, all the Bay Area. That line drive kick is fielded and brought back out across the 10-yard line by Northern Arizona. The tackle made right there at about the, we're going to put him at the 12-yard line, and that's where this one gets underway. Welcome in, everybody, to Arizona Rattlers football. And welcome into the West Valley for this one.
Make no mistake, there have been some focused points for this football team. One of them was kickoff coverage. You can't give up kickoff returns for touchdowns in this league and expect to win a whole lot of games, especially against the upper tier teams. And let's keep an eye on the penalties. Will they have any of the post-whistle unsportsmanlike conducts?
So it's going to be the Wranglers on offense to get this underway, and a graduate of Desert Ridge High School is the starting quarterback, C.J. Fowler, Desert Ridge out of Mesa, Arizona. And here comes the give off the right side. That one carried for just a short gain as I toss it over to my partner, Dale Hellestray. Dale, how about the keys to this one, the cobblestone keys to the game?
Interesting because, again, the fast start is needed against a team that is subpar, especially in records. They're 0-3, you're 3-0. You want to get off to a fast start. You know, we talked about these other things. You got to reduce those penalties because those will catch up with you, and then Kevin Guy wants to see them finish the game.
The cobblestone keys to the game. Here is a quick toss caught left side, and that's going to go right out across the 20 and be about a yard shy of the first down. Holland in that pass was David Elder. Elder is one of the most productive members, arguably the most productive member of this Wranglers football squad, and his catch takes it to the 22-yard line, a yard shy for the Wranglers.
Sia Burley, the offensive coordinator for Northern Arizona. You're going to see a little bit of the Arizona Rattlers offensive scheme built into this Northern Arizona squad. Sia Burley, longtime player and coach here with Kevin Guy and the Rattlers.
The Wranglers trying to convert. Here's the give. They'll do just that. The ball is turned up by Elder. He crosses midfield and wrestled down at the Arizona 24-yard line for the Wranglers' first down. And let's take a look at Arizona's starting defense led by that guy right there, Devontae Merriweather. He has been a Defensive Player of the Year in this league. He was the IFL Championship game most valuable player in that win last year. And the defense be anchored in the middle by big Isaiah Coe, number 92. Starting at linebacker tonight, Jalen Campbell. Look at that experienced and outstanding defensive backfield for the Arizona Rattlers, as we do get a flag for a false start on the offense.
False start. Offense in the 72. 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
Kevin Guy is not afraid to make changes to his squad if he's not happy with their production. But he gets a little concerned when you're talking about up the middle defensively. Coe obviously holding down that nose guard position. He's had a tremendous start to the season. Campbell now in there for a couple games now. Linebacker Castleberry doing a great job from the safety position.
Fowler puts them in motion, and he releases quickly to the right side. That one batted near the line of scrimmage, just right here.
Well, the thing they got to be careful of is I believe their opponents right now know that they can bait the Arizona Rattlers a little bit. You get a little push at the end of the play, a little shove after the whistle. Are you going to respond to that? Because as I've told anybody who I've ever talked to about post-whistle penalties, never been intimidated by somebody pushing me or swinging at me. Please swing at my helmet. That's a knuckleheaded play after the whistle. Knock the snot out of me during the play. Now I've got some things going through my mind.
Fowler, he delivers. And then a very quick emphatic hit delivered defensively. The guy coming up was Rashi Hodge. Rashi laying the hit on him. It'll be a short gain and bring up third down and about 2.5 yards.
Understand the defensive backs for Arizona. They don't make business decisions as some other defensive backs do, not only in this league, but in the National Football League. They're going to come up and hit you. If you don't come up and play physical for Kevin Guy and this team, you won't be around very long.
So the big hit on defense leaves, and excuse me, after that hit, it's actually third down at 12. It's not a couple to go. There's a deep throw, and that one is picked up. Taken away by Omari Alexander. He's got a blocker down the left side. He'll get driven into the wall, and then late hits afterward. That's going to tack on half the distance from about the 21-yard line, and it will be first down for the Rattlers. Their first offensive possession coming right up, and there's your start. There's your defense stepping up, making a big play.
Ball hung up there just a little bit of time, able to get under that. Nice job by Alexander playing the route perfectly.
The interception after the play was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Passing team number 55. His first of the game. Half the distance to the goal. First and 10, Arizona.
So first unsportsmanlike conduct penalty goes against Northern Arizona. You're going to see the return here and then the throw down after he touched the dasher board, and that's where you got to be careful, Arizona. You don't want to negate the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on Naz with one of your own, but tremendous job playing that route. Ball hung up a little extra, able to step underneath it, and then what a return.
Well, after they mark off the penalty, it gets set up at the 12-yard line. First down for Dalton Sneed, the starting quarterback. Dalton leads the league in yards from scrimmage as a quarterback this year. Total offense, and he will give the Rattlers a first look at it offensively. Throwing from the get-go, and here's a crossing route that's hauled in by Shannon Brooks. Brooks hit it about the 6-yard line. He goes down right there. Shannon with his first touch of the football this season. He came out, he was hurt, and it took a while to get back, and finally number 3 is back in the lineup. And I'll tell you how valuable Shannon Brooks is. Ron Brown Jr., the guy that's been tasked with playing that running back position the entire first 3 games of the year, had a great 3 games for the Rattlers, and yet look who you get out there. You get Shannon Brooks back in, and he's so good he steps right into the starting role.
Nice job by Brooks there, but we're going to keep an eye on the offensive line. You got a new center, Bryson Mays, in there too, along with the running back Shannon Brooks. See this offensive line continue to improve as this season goes along.
Brooks, they string him out left side, and he will dart his way across the 5-yard line to bring up third down and about a yard to go after they mark this thing. Let's take a look at the starting offense for the Arizona Rattlers, led by, of course, the quarterback. Dalton Sneed is the guy that engineers this offense. And, of course, the veteran on the outside, Jamal Miles, jersey number 2. He's been around since all of us were kids, but he plays a lot better than we would at our ages. Look at that guy.
Got challenged coming into training camp by Coach Guy, and he has responded tremendously.
Handoff Shannon Brooks, and he will find a seam into the end zone. That's an Arizona Rattlers touchdown.
I think one question has been answered. Coach Guy said, I want to get off to a fast start. Very lethargic the last game that they played. Then they had the bye week. They had to come back in that second quarter, played a great second quarter. It was imperative they get off to a good start tonight. I would say a turnover defensively, touchdown offensively qualifies.
Just like they wanted, and they've got a 7-0 lead with the point after. Successful. Stand by. We'll grab a timeout as you take another look at the touchdown run by Shannon Brooks. Second, they'll make it third time. He handled the ball on the opening possession, and the third one was the charm. Short yardage touchdown for Shannon Brooks. Stand by, everybody. We'll return in a moment to Glendale with more Arizona Rattlers football on the way.
Don't miss the Spring Spectacular Sales Event going on right now at Liberty GMC. Save up to $12,250 off a new 25 GMC Sierra 1500 or get 5.9% financing. Enjoy a new 24 Hummer EV SUV. Lease now for $998 a month. Spectacular deals, spectacular savings during the Spring Spectacular Sales Event. Nowhere can you buy a GMC for less. Liberty GMC, 87th Avenue and West Bell Road. We are professional grade.
I'm Dr. Pamela Lund, Director of Sports and Orthopedic Imaging at Simon Med Imaging. I've been reading sports MRI studies for patients and athletes at all levels for over 20 years. When you're injured, an accurate diagnosis can mean the difference between chronic pain or pain-free enjoyment of your life and sports activities. At Simon Med, we treat you just like all of our elite athletes, with state-of-the-art equipment, precise interpretation, and compassion.
Babe, we hit our parlay on Bet Rivers?
Yeah, Chicago walked it off, and those birds scored last second.
Hang on. Bet Rivers, frozen in the 70s. You got a bookie in this thing?
It's actually the Bet Rivers Sportsbook.
Last time those sneaky birds won, I had a curly shag in the 70s.
That was actually my nickname in the 70s.
Sneaky bird?
Or curly shag.
Yeah, ask your mother.
Bet Rivers, is that a sports book in your pocket?
So the Rattlers get the early start, 7-0, and you said it, Dale. They begin with defense. Defense set him up. The nice return, the unfortunate unsportsmanlike conduct call against Naz, and then the Rattlers punch it in. Fielded at the goal line. And there's a big hole for the return, and that's going to the house for David Elder in Northern Arizona. Twice the last home game, the Rattlers gave up long touchdown returns. It was a point of emphasis in the last couple of weeks with the bye week for the Rattlers. And Dale, it looks like the message wasn't received very well by the defense.
Tremendous job, though. Let's give Naz some credit here. I mean, you got a guy who does not break stride whatsoever. David Elder does a fantastic job reading his blocks. There was one little crease there. He didn't hesitate 1 second, burst through the initial onslaught of Arizona Rattlers, and there was nobody behind him. And there is nothing that can take the air, Floyd, out of a football team quite like a great start defensively and offensively, then your special teams let them tie the game in the blink of an eye.
Well, the point after was added by Brandon Fisher. He was able to tack that on for Northern Arizona, and you're right, we went from that big and boisterous response to the Shannon Brooks touchdown for Arizona. And everybody's back on their, sitting on their hands again here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The crowd, you get off to that start, now the crowd was into it. It was loud. It was loud in my ears, and I have headphones on. And now all of a sudden, oh, okay, now we've got a ball game on our hands.
You saw Isaiah Huff there, back deep to receive the Fisher kickoff for the Rattlers. Nearby him was our game referee, Reed Brotherton. We'll introduce you to our game officials here just as soon as the kickoff is handled by the Rattlers. Fisher will hit a line drive. The high bounce lands up in the hands of Jamal Miles, and Jamal's going to get through the first line of coverage defenders and then across midfield and eventually driven into the wall over there. The referee is Reed Brotherton. The umpire, Brad Carroll. Head linesman, Marcus Johnson. The line judge is Todd Evans, and the back judge is Johnny Price.
Flag down on the play there. At some point, the pile of players were covering it.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct.